Oh man, it's cold tonight. What the f was I thinking? Oh man. It is one really cold night. It's about 10:15, 10:20 at night. And I gotta be honest, 50 degrees with the sun out feels so much different than 50 degrees with no sun out. I am definitely struggling right now. Oh man. And it's not even like my hands, it's not my chest or my arms. It's the bottom of my chin and the top of my thighs. Wowzer, wowzer, wowzer. But the show must go on. So, what are we going to talk about today? The first thing I want to talk about is that I got to do a duo ride with a good friend of mine that rides a Ninja 250, and I have a bunch of footage from that day, but editing it started to take way too long. So that's going to be a nice little weekend project, so hopefully for Monday's video I can put that one out. And this ride, my goal is to get out by the end of tonight, because tonight is a Friday, so we'll see how effective I am at that. But I do have a topic, and that's the most important part about tonight, which I'm going to give to you after this red light. Tonight is going to be a story night. What does this story involve? It involves yours truly slipping and destroying a bunch of in his garage. This happened almost a week ago to the day, and I have not ridden since this has happened because I was that upset over it. And to be honest, my knee is still a little tender. My buddy and I rode a lot. That day I think I rode about 200 miles, and the plan was originally to hang out with him and another friend of ours, and plans changed that night. So probably around, I think it was like 9:30, 10:30, I decide to ride home. So normally not a problem, and the ride itself really not bad. It was a little windy, but it was okay. So I get home, and no one expected me, so people had parked their cars really close to the garage door, but I didn't want to wake anybody up. I would have felt bad. So I decided to pull my bike into the garage without moving any vehicles, which turned into quite the project because I didn't have enough room. I get the bike in, I put the kickstand down, so the bike is okay, the bike did not fall, the bike didn't hit anything, I didn't hit the bike. I put the kickstand down, and I go to take at this point my jacket and everything's off because I'm sweating, trying to like maneuver this bike in between cars and so I take a step back thinking that my foot's gonna hit solid ground, and my foot, for whatever reason, decides the perfect spot to land is going to be a 2x4 that's on the ground. So I step on this. Obviously that thing slips out from underneath me because it's not going to support my weight, and I get KO'd. I mean, like, my arms flew to the sides in a vain attempt to keep myself upright, and I was laid out. And apparently it was a good idea to keep like 12 bottles of wine and a bunch of other in the garage. And of course, of all the places for me to land, I land on top of that stuff. So I hit all these bottles, glass shatters, like the wine flies up against the wall, and it looked like a blood splatter. It was one of the most unreal things that has ever happened to me. And I either, just by luck of this thing being super old, or by the glass that shattered, somehow I managed to cut in half a full container of car soap. So I feel all this liquid spiral around me, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, I cut myself, oh my god, I'm bleeding out. And I start like frantically feeling around my body because I'm legitimately concerned at this point. And obviously I wasn't bleeding. Well, I was, but we'll get to that in a second. And I start to realize that this is soap, that I'm surrounded in very slippery soap. So I attempt to get up, and I fall back down anyway. So now I'm in a world of hurt because I've fallen for a second time. It was just a nightmare. I see the lights go on in my house because I've now made such a gigantic noise that pretty much everyone is awake. And I'm like, listen, I'm okay, but I need your help cleaning this. It easily took over a half hour and like 7 or 8 rolls of paper towels to try and clean this mess up. Oh my god. When I tell you that soap is one of the worst things to clean, I am really not exaggerating. It was absolutely horrible. It was just everywhere. And when you'd wipe it, it wouldn't actually, like, get picked up. It would just smear. So then there were, like, white smears all over everything. And it got all over the unbroken bottle of wines. It got inside tool cases. It was just think of like one of the worst spills that you've ever... It was like the fucking Exxon Valdez, like, just in my garage. And I didn't notice at the time, but because my garage door was open, all this soap starts to friggin' roll out into the into the driveway and the street because there's that much of it. So I got myself up, I'm covered in soap, and I was like checking the bike because I was super nervous that I had dropped it, but the kickstand saved it. So I got some soap on the bike, and I was freaking out about that, but it's soap, so I really shouldn't have been. But it was one of the worst experiences of all time. And the worst part is that I told my dad about it, and my dad goes, "You realize that the garage has a light switch right by the door, right?" I have been in that house for a really, really, really long time, and I had absolutely no idea that there was a light switch right next to the garage door. So if I had A, moved the car instead of being Superman, thinking that I could get a bike inside a space that was way too small for it, and B, actually utilized the light switch, everything would have been okay. And the light was really, really bright. So when I get back to my house tonight, I'm definitely going to be flicking on that light switch before I do anything else. That is my story, my horrendous spill